Uncanceled Comedy Collective presents Top Censored News of the Week. It's Top Censored News of the Week. We're bringing you the stories the mainstream media just refuses to cover. If they do cover them, they always do it in a very dishonest or sloppy way, and it's always on purpose. I'm here with co-host Craig Pasta Jardula. Let's get into the top 3 stories this week that you were lied to about or you don't even know happened. Here we go. Coming in at number 3, Hillary Clinton voices approval for Trump's foreign policy with NATO and Ukraine, reaffirming both parties are on the same team while the mainstream media is silent. Let's look at her vocally approving Trump. This specifically this term, not the last term, but this term. Here we go.
That is a very good signal that there is beginning to be a better understanding, both by the president and the people around him, as well as by the leaders of our European allies, that there can be common ground amongst us. And the kind of dismissiveness that we saw in the first Trump administration has been replaced by a much more obvious working relationship to the good of European security, transatlantic security, and hopefully Ukrainian security. So I'm actually encouraged.
She's encouraged. Hillary Clinton's encouraged specifically by Trump's foreign policy. Right now, you would think that real journalists all around the nation would be making this a headline right now, saying, hey, wait a minute, maybe we were lied to, or maybe we participated in the lie that Hillary had run on, which is Russiagate, which is all these reasons why we needed to vote against Trump, because he was going to do awful things and Hillary was going to be on the good guy team. But yet, at the end of the day, it's the same foreign policy. Only real journalists report on this, Craig. And I wanted to, before I have you chime in on this, a handful of them are noticing this, including our colleague, your colleague on Truthwire, Fiorella, kind of sums it up right here. Nothing says the uniparty as it, and there is little but cosmetic difference between Dems and Republicans than Hillary Clinton complimenting Trump's foreign policy with NATO and Ukraine. Any claims of peace won't be genuine or long-term as long as these psychos are in power. And make no mistake, they're all psychos, and it's too bad that so many people can't see this when it's literally coming out of her mouth right now. Craig Pasta.
Yeah, the only thing that the uniparty agrees upon is war, right? Like the thing they definitely agree upon is war. Excuse me, not the only thing. I think it was said, but I can't remember. Is it Ron Paul who said that partisanship is that both parties getting together to screw the working class? I think it was him. But yeah, they are definitely united on war, so it doesn't surprise me. And once again, this tells you about the Fugazi media. Even if it is friendly media, even if you feel that she is right when it comes to the situation, your job as a journalist is to present the other side and push back against that. And there's none of that. Because I keep saying to myself, like, who's giving this woman the opportunity and the platform to speak? Go away. We can't miss you, Hillary, if you don't go away. Go away.
Yeah, exactly. But like, she's not gone away. So why wouldn't this make headlines? I guess that's my concern here, is that you would say, wait a minute. How does it make sense that Hillary, if we believe everything we were told by Rachel Maddow and Anderson Cooper and all those idiots this whole time, why wouldn't this be big news that Hillary is siding with Trump? If you believed all that, and there's a lot of people that did. Obviously, to us, we know this is this is just like, see our point. We've been right the whole time. But if you were part of the bubble and you see Hillary Clinton, like you said, is not going away, she's yapping her mouth and she's saying things. She's saying the quiet part out loud. She's not really supposed to be saying this, right, Craig? Or does she know it doesn't make a damn difference because nobody protecting her is going to point this out to the idiots who still think that Hillary hates Trump and Trump hates Hillary and we're going to put each other in jail, right? So this doesn't do anything for that, even though for us, we see here it is. This is the sign right here that they all still play golf together, and they're all in the same country club, and they all and we're not in it.
And this time around, we've said that there's been a lot more carrying water for Donald Trump as long as he's been involved in the Ukraine war situation and continued to fund Zelensky and his regime. Then, people praised him. As soon as he stepped out of that line, they went after him. But that just shows you where they come together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And a lot of this, we know it's kabuki theater because a lot of the mainstream media that once just attacked him all the time, actually complimenting him at times when he makes moves like this. It's crazy.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the number 2 story. Here we go. Coming in at number 2, Pentagon wants war with Venezuela as Trump, Dems, and MSM, mainstream media, work to manufacture consent for ground invasion. That's the real story you're not going to hear on mainstream news. Let's look at the headline, and I reported this on with Garland Nixon on his show yesterday. This is the story. We got this from Latin America Reports. U.S. sends 3 warships towards the coast of Venezuela. Maduro mobilizes 4.5 million militia members. And it goes through. So there's these 3 missiles destroyers. They were set to arrive off of Venezuela within 24 hours. That was from yesterday. So they've probably arrived by now. Trump's effort to counter threats from Latin America, drug cartels. Okay, so this is about the drugs, right? That's what this is about. It's got to be the drugs, Craig, because we care about, drug cartels in Latin American countries, and that's why we're doing this. As per Reuters, the deployed American ships are USS Gravely, USS John Durham, and the USS Sampson. They've also previously announced that on August 22nd, which is coming up, the air and naval forces will be deployed at the Caribbean with more than 4,000 sailors. Now, look, this sounds like okay, we're moving them into position. Obviously, Maduro's striking back. This is like he's not going to sit around. Especially this part gets lost. I did notice this, Craig, that and Caroline Leavitt announced this, that $700 million worth of assets have been seized from Maduro's from the head of state. So they're moving in to do this type of seizing and occupying and basically surrounding, like on a chessboard. Here is what they're doing right now. And then the Venezuelan government says the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela observes with total clarity the desperation of the U.S. administration, which resorts to threats and defamation against our country. DC's accusation that Venezuela is involved in drug trafficking reveals their lack of credibility, of course, and failure of its policies in the region. And I will correct the Venezuela, the PR team here, because it's not a failure of their policies. It's actually exactly the policies that were designed to be enacted. That's what's happening here. So Maduro announces 4.5 million militia members across the country to be put in the Caribbean in place. He calls it a plan of peace to be prepared and active and armed. He goes on to Maduro goes further to say rifles and missiles for the rural forces to defend Venezuela's territory, sovereignty, and peace. So that's the story there. And then I'm going to back it up with this little tidbit from Caroline Leavitt, who will tell us the spin and I guess you would say the justification, the drug cartel justification of why we're doing this. Here we go.
Warships that are being sent to Venezuela, and there's 4,000 Marines on board. Are you looking at possibility of boots on the ground there?
What I will say with respect to Venezuela, President Trump has been very clear and consistent. He's prepared to use every element of American power to stop drugs from flooding into our country and to bring those responsible to justice. The Maduro regime is not the legitimate government of Venezuela. It is a narco-terror cartel. In Maduro, it is the view of this administration, is not a legitimate president. He is a fugitive head of this cartel who has been indicted in the United States for trafficking drugs into the country. And with that, I will leave you all, and we will see you later, if not tomorrow. And I look forward to taking more of your questions. Thank you.
No follow-up to that statement over there. Let me get out of here before anybody pushes back quickly. And, we've said this for quite some time, Matt, that we're going to use this whole cartel situation as an excuse to go and expand the empire and their foreign policy. This isn't about Maduro being a drug dealer and smuggling drugs in the United States. This is about a national sovereignty of a country that the United States wants the Earl, wants that odd Earl. And if Maduro's there, he stands in the way, the same way that Chavistas, Hugo Chavez stood in the way, and they kidnapped him. The uprising was so crazy that they had to give him back and release him. But after that uprising, that when people went crazy, he enacted this militia act in which he supplied militias and arms to each community, all the small communities across the countries, and they do drills every year to make sure that if there's an invader, they go to the armsmen and they grab their guns and they prepare to take care of their country. Somebody told me today that they said, like, oh, yeah, the United States is going to remove Maduro. I said, they're going to try to remove Maduro. They've been trying for a while. They tried with Chavista. They failed. But when you got countries like Venezuela and Nicaragua and Honduras where the people, and I'm not saying that nobody doesn't like them because there are people who are against them, but there's a majority of the people that support these governments because they want national sovereignty and they're sick and tired of the United States government telling them who can lead their country. You're going to see it be very hard for the United States government to overturn that country because there's enough support for those leaders in those governments.
Yeah. And like you said, Craig, they've been trying to do this for years and years, dating back to the Chavez government. How many assassination attempts, how many coup attempts, how many sanctions, how many trying to stop Chavez is giving away free oil. He can't do that. So how many different ways have we tried to F with Venezuela? We've created the refugee crisis. Venezuela is the perfect example. When you make that argument, Craig, you have to, when we talk about the border crisis, and nobody wants to talk about American imperialism, this is the perfect example, textbook example of how American imperialism creates a refugee crisis. We knew that there were 4 million refugees that were created during the transition of power from Chavez to Maduro back in 2013. We were down there. We were covering it for the film we were making called Tupamaro, which is about the actual the vigilante gang that actually polices the streets of Caracas and takes drugs out of the streets. That's what their job is. They do like kind of the Batman thing there. Very interesting group. We don't hear about the Tupamaros. What we do hear about is 199 Venezuelan gangsters that were found by ICE, and then they have to be shipped to El Salvador. But nobody tells you that the CIA is the one that planted them there, that took them from Venezuela and stuck them in our country to create more of a border crisis and fear, as we see both parties are in fear, living in constant fear of what do we do about the border. Meanwhile, here's what we're doing about Venezuela, which is, again, I think the textbook example, if you want to see how American imperialism works. And then the audacity of Caroline Leavitt talking about this illegitimacy of this administration. We have to remind people this has been a talking point, not just of Trump, not just of the Republican Party, of the Democratic Party. They've been doing this for years, back and forth. Whatever administration, they've been saying that whatever socialist government in Venezuela is not legitimate. They were doing it back in 2020 when Trump first got into office. His first or second, I think it was the State of a Union he did on the floor in the Congress. He got standing ovations from everyone when he brought in
Juan
Guaido. Nobody remembers that standing ovation because Nancy Pelosi had her little rip up the copy of the speech, iconic theatrical moment, and people think that's what was going on. No, they're all on the same side. They love to smear a actual elected candidate who wins the presidency, which is Maduro, and they like to smear him and say he's illegitimate. They've both been doing it for years and years, and here it's happening again. Do you think this is any different this time as far as the coup attempts or the I guess there's one more thing I should add if people don't know. There was a $50 million bounty that Trump put on Maduro. Is this the same old cycle of tormenting and bullying and that we've been doing, or do you see something a little more nefarious happening here as far as that chessboard we talk about that's happening as we set these pieces up around Venezuela? Is this, or is it the same thing we've seen for the last several years?
It's a lot more of the same, right? Like Barack Obama went on with the same policies towards Venezuela as George W. Bush had before him. So it's not just Democrat or Republican. It's been a consistent thing of handing over the baton. I mean, Joe Biden was awful in Latin America. People used to make the argument that the one area where Donald Trump will be worse was Latin America. And sometimes I would agree with them because a lot of the influence the Florida politicians have, especially the ones in South Florida, have on him, right? The people in South Florida, the anti-Chavistas. We have something called the Weston Whalers out here in the city of Weston, which is about 30 miles away from me. right near West Palm Beach. It's a Venezuelan community. But that Venezuelan community, very much like the criminals from Venezuela that were in here, are the anti-Chavistas, the ones that the Chavistas threw out or they didn't want to stay there because of that. So when you see all these Venezuelans here, and what had happened was during Trump won his first term, Carlos Vecchia, who was the Fugazi ambassador to Juan Guaido, and they were giving him the embassy. They had the whole Venezuelan embassy thing where they were taking it away from the Maduro government, giving it to this illegitimate government, which they speak of oppositely. Like they call the Maduro government illegitimate when it's legitimate, and the Carlos Vecchia government with Juan Guaido legitimate when it's illegitimate. And that should happen. Carlos Vecchia went to Donald Trump and said, let all my people come into this country. A lot of them were not even in Venezuela. They were in other countries around because they were escaped Venezuelans. A lot of them were CIA trained to cause problems against the government. See, the CIA, when we were talking about the Mujahideen, which became Al-Qaeda, we've always supported radical oppositional governments in these countries despite their ideology. We did it in Latin America. We've done it in the Middle East, whether it be the Mujahideen or the Contras in Nicaragua, another good example. So Donald Trump was asked, can you let these people come in the country? He said no, he wouldn't do that. But he did recognize Juan Guaido. When Joe Biden became president and they already recognized Juan Guaido, he let a lot of these Venezuelans come into the country. They were given work visas and whatnot. But you have to understand, these are the anti-Maduro Venezuelans that were let in. They weren't like people that were just seeking, restitution from the Maduro government. They were the anti-government people out there. So things are very much spun a crazy way. Now, back to what do I think this is different or not? It definitely seems escalated, right? It definitely seems escalated to a point where it's like, I think Donald Trump is batshit crazy enough with the deep state or the military industrial complex, since they've gotten their own way, could probably convince him to go and invade Venezuela. So, I mean, it seems like everybody is licking their chops. That the peace president that he is, that they can manipulate him into going into war or for regime change. And I think they're on the chopping block. At this point, they're like, listen, we're not going to get any deal with this guy. He's not going to capitulate. Let's go in there and get rid of him and get all that oil. We've been fucking around too long, let's go do it. So, I mean, something might happen this time out. I don't know.
We'll see. But to remind everyone, this is what it's really about. Check this out. Oh, we're going up higher now. Oh. I'm going to stop it. Who do you think's at the top?
I know it's Venezuela. Arabia. There it is.
Here we go. Oh.
So when a bunch of New Yorkers years ago were freezing in the middle of the winter and couldn't afford their gas bills, guess who picked up the tab? Chavistas, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Hugo Chavez picked up the tab and gave Americans in New York heat.
Wow. That's it. What a foreign concept. We talk about American principles and American foundation and capitalism and exceptionalism. And we are even our last conversation with Salente is pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's like, why is that concept so foreign to us as far as helping your fellow man and saying, I have a crap ton of oil, more than the rest of the planet. I might want to give some of it away for free. How dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you? It's a wild idea that we've been completely locked away from that concept, that idea, and it's on purpose. And I think that if we were able to learn about that and understand that as an option, it doesn't mean you have to be forced on you, but just you understand that some of the world might behave a little differently than every man for himself. It might open up a lot of new ideas here, and we don't want those new ideas. We want to stick people with the one thing that we've been driving down their throats from the second we've been born, and that's American exceptionalism, and we're the greatest country in the world, and that's that. And until we're not, right? But we are until we're not. Whenever that officially gets announced. But there you go. And then I had a couple thing here. Yeah, this forgot, you guys know the history of us. This is the Spanish version, but you guys can see those every year that we have done something about helping people in Latin American countries. There you go. There's our timetable right there. And we want to also let people know that Venezuela has the right to defend itself from Anglo pirates. Just to remind you guys, if we're gonna be consistent with that one. So that's that for the number 2 story. Ready to do number 1 real quick before we get you
number 1? I'll make a comment and I'll dip out because I got a heart out.
Okay. And you got a heart out. Okay, let's go ahead. All right, coming in at number 1, top censored news of the week. Israel has a massive pedophile and child sex trafficking problem, and it's not going away anytime soon. How do we know this? Well, let's look at the latest happening. And you guys haven't heard about this one. It's from the Squawk Box. Top Israeli cyber war official caught in Las Vegas. Child predator ring sting. And we'll go check this out briefly. He was arrested. His name is Tom Alexandrovich. Alexandrovich was arrested in Vegas this week, along with 7 other alleged child sex predators. And once he was arrested, he was the Israeli government top spyware and surveillance specialist. Has held a ton of roles doing this, including on Twitter. Just so I don't know if you know that one. He's actually one of the people on Twitter that Elon has allowed to censor people that get flagged on Elon's site. So this is the guy. So he's been sent back to Israel. And of course, Israel has a long history of allowing pedophiles to flee and then claim Israeli citizenship. This isn't the first time. This has been happening for years.
Let me just make a last comment about this real quick because I got to dump out. But it's look, I don't know how many things had to really push you to say that MAGA was out of control and that was time to walk away. The whole calling the Jeffrey Epstein thing was a hoax, but this is more information and more proof right here because the Trump administration helped this guy get out of here. Gave him back his passport, let him escape. You can't be America first if you're Israeli first, and unfortunately, that's where we're at nowadays. If you were walking away then, if you hadn't walked away then, you should walk away now. That's it. I got to go, guys. We'll see you later. Thanks again, Matt.
Thanks, Craig. You know what we'll do is we'll finish top censored news. This is a little unconventional. But as I'm setting it back up, because guys, you got this number 1 stories. This is a big one. And what better way to punch this at the end? And we'll switch out our co-host and bring in our next co-host for the rest of the show here. Jay Scott. Here we go. Welcome back, Jay.
What's going on, Matt? Popped up just in time, man. Can't let a story this big, go with only one person commenting. Don't get me wrong. I know you can handle it. So I'm not, calling you out there. But, a story this big that's just being brushed under mainstream media. I don't know. Let's think about it, guys. The top person in charge of cyber warfare and combating online terrorism and online illicit activities in the state of Israel is a pedophile. So if you care about stopping pedophilia, then why would someone still support an administration that is allowing that person to flee the country, to go to a country where he can't be extradited? So, Craig said it perfectly on the way out. He kind of summarized it, but, when you look at how unique the laws are in Israel, in terms of protecting pedophiles. I think it's a situation that, we have to call out. And again, I would never say something about an entire religion. However, I think it is fair to critique each religion, to go through the religious book and to see if there's anything in the book that we need to talk about that could encourage, bad behavior. And, unfortunately, in the Talmud, there is actually a verse that justifies, pedophilia. Like if a victim is under 3 years old, I believe, it's, I forget the actual verse. I'll look it up in a second. But there is a verse in the Talmud, which is not the Torah, but it's another scripture that, some people who, follow Judaism read. And, there's a verse in there that, essentially says because children aren't conscious and can't remember things that happened before the age of 3, that, rape is permissible in some situations.
Yeah.
So I'm going to find the exact quote so people can check it out. But, long story short, we just have to ask ourselves, why is our government allowing this to happen? And why are the Democrats now pretending that they care about this issue when no one brought it up when Biden was in office? Because this is all connected to the Epstein issue. This is one big reoccurring issue that's popping up, in several different ways. And I don't even mean to say that, it's only one group of people that are involved in that, because I do believe there's some secret societies, behind Zionists that people aren't speaking as much about too. However, the truth is, Israel has some unique laws that we just have to talk about. And we have to talk about, what verses are there in the Talmud that could be interpreted the wrong way and weaponized, against people. And I think it's fair to do that for every religion, for Christianity, for Islam. They all can be weaponized in different ways.
100%. And every time we try to bring up the Talmud with our, our Zionist friends here in Hollywood, they don't want to talk about it. Anytime I bring it up, they don't want to talk about it. They pretend that that's just, it's this unique problem, right, Jay? We get this with every tribe, right? Every tribe, religious or political, because this worked with politics and religion, right? Any tribe, you brush off the extreme parts and say, that's just, those aren't really the real. No, it's in your actual scripture. It's your thing. So we have to address it. Don't make us feel like we're extreme for bringing it up. It's in your thing. This is the thing. So let's talk about why. Why is this okay? So yeah, I'd like to see the specifics on that. But in the meantime, this article will show people that well beyond this incident with this guy that just got full protection, full impunity. He's a cybersecurity guy. This has been going on for years and years, and this is the deep-rooted problem. They bring up this incident just in April. Shoshana Strook, the daughter of Israeli far-right settlements minister, fled to police, asked them to protect her, accusing both her parents and one of her brothers of raping her as a child over a period of years and filming the rapes. This is crazy. So there's this trauma expert, Dr. Anat Gur, head of Bar-Ilan University Trauma Therapy Program, has said that she believes organized child rape in Israel is widespread. She says it's the most horrific things that she's ever encountered. It's likely much more widespread than we think, and it's happening in places we least expect. Hardline Zionists in the UK, for example, in January, former Jewish labor movement chair Ivor Kaplan also been arrested on suspicion of child sexual abuse or planned sexual abuse of minors. And then the Skybox outlet that we saw, they did a little collage, and we've seen these types. This isn't the first time we've seen one, but I just wanted to throw this up so people can see how many of these. And you guys can go look these up for yourselves. But look at this. This is and I'll take this off here. There's so many of this, and it's reported even in Times of Israel and everywhere, right? You got AP, all these different outlets been reporting this for forever. So these are not one-off incidents, I guess is what we're trying to say. And then I want to, before you chime back in, this also caught my eye when I was looking at this this morning. Was Sean King, because he's done a lot of work on this, and here is what he tells us. This has just happened a couple days ago. He's saying in the middle of the night, Elon deleted every single tweet I've made about this Israeli pedophile, this Tom Alexander Drovich, that he was arrested in Vegas for sex crimes against children. All of them, every retweet, every link to his articles, they're all gone. Why did that happen? Because this pedophile works for Elon. He's actually a guy that is in charge of taking other people down.
Does Elon work for him, or does he work for Elon? What do you think?
He's on the, so one of his job response. Okay. I have the paper trail out here. Let me just put the paper trail up. This is it.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. Okay. Can we see this? This is his profile. He says what his experience. Okay. Let me see it. Can you see that? I don't know if I can make that bigger. But look, somebody asked Grog. Yes. He was arrested in Vegas, August 16th, luring a minor, headed a division in Israel's National Cyber Directorate, the agency behind the cyber unit's takedown requests on X. So it's not directly working for Elon. So I'm not trying to, I'm sorry if I misspoke, not an employee of Elon, but he's literally in the agency that responds to requests of takedowns from X.
Well, they put in requests. That agency can originate the request.
Oh, they originate the request.
Yeah, it can originate the request. So it's like, for people to not understand why like you saw Grok get taken offline, right? Even Grok, is not immune from the reach of Zionist and secret society power. So really quick, I did want to just just read everyone the verse I was talking about. And this isn't to single out any one religion, because again, I do believe all religions can be weaponized in different ways, but this is from Kudabat 11b. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but this is what it says. Rava said that this is what the Mishnah is saying. An adult man who engaged in intercourse with a minor girl less than 3 years old has done nothing, as intercourse with a girl less than 3 years old is tantamount to poking a finger in the eye. In the case of an eye, after a tear falls from it, another tear forms to replace it. Similarly, the ruptured hymen of the girl younger than 3 is restored. And a young boy who engaged in intercourse with an adult woman renders her as one on whose hymen was ruptured by wood. So it's weird, like that is a verse that I think, we should talk about. What's the good interpretation of that? Like, I'm not trying to say any religion is worse than other religions, but when I read something like that, it just makes me wonder, like, why don't we hear more about some of the crazy things these religious books have inside of them?
Well, that's why I consider myself not just homeless politically, but homeless religiously, because they all, like, I agree with you, Jay. They all have those issues, and for me, I've considered myself an atheist most of my adult life, but recently I'm looking at other atheists out there that call themselves atheists, and I go, what do you do? Like the Bill Maher's out there, and the who's this other guy? It's slipping my mind. Sam Harris. Sam Harris, yeah. Who? What are they doing? Pretending that they're saying what you're saying. They're pretending to say this about all religion, yet for some reason they want everyone to know.
There's one they don't talk about.
There's one they don't talk about, and because they're, why? Because they're too busy telling us that Islam is extra bad. Yeah. Oh, religion's bad, but you guys, you would have no idea how they treat people. Really? So the other one, like, they kind of treat you bad, but then really? So what are you doing there? It reminds me of a Cornel West type. This is like the religious version of Cornel West. Where he's like, I'm independent of the two-party failed system, but this one is extra bad. Okay, so you're telling us to vote for the. you're telling us to get on this team, so you're not actually independent. So Bill Maher and Sam Harris, you're not actually atheists because you're telling us to get on board
Perfect comparison
with your Zionism, your Christian Jewish Zionism. That's what you're doing.
Because Islam is so scary.
Yeah.
Islam is so scary.
But I'm not with them. I'm over here, right? I'm not. No, you are. You're telling us how bad this unique one is. It's unique. And never mind the horrible stuff going on here. Never mind that.
Yeah, and it's sad, man. I think we need to be even-handed, as we're talking about the problems with different religions, and we need to talk about how religion can be weaponized. And again, I know a lot of the attention today is rightly focused on what Israel is doing, but the Vatican and other Christian secret societies definitely, have a large infiltration, of our intelligence agencies happening too. So I think we need to have a larger overall conversation about how we get, to the solution of these problems. And, one thing that I've, thought about recently, and I'd love to hear your take on this real quick before we move to the next segment. So you're aware of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in South Africa, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What if we did something like that for Zionists and secret societies, if the end goal was actually a Palestinian state over there, and we could actually have peace and we could actually have the truth about corruption? Is it possible that maybe the people who are willing to actually tell the truth about what happened, can receive some form of leniency, I guess you can say, if we are getting the whole truth? Like, how else do we really unravel this machine?
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
But it has to be the whole truth. There's a lot of things we really need answers on. Epstein, which intelligence agencies did he work for, and who was he blackmailing people for? If we can answer those questions, maybe it's worth at least considering. And I hate saying that about people, who were guilty of genocide and some of the worst crimes against humanity. But, I don't know. I think that we need to essentially back them into a corner and show them that we're not going to stand, for it. And thankfully, a lot of MAGA, is pushing back right now on what's happening. So hopefully they can get louder about this specific guy who was allowed to just flee the country and go to Israel. So, fingers crossed. Keep it going, MAGA. Hold them accountable.
Hold them accountable. And with that said, I got to throw this comment up from Jungle Jared. Great analogy. Trump derangement syndrome is just like Islam derangement syndrome. And it's hardest to watch when it comes from somebody who claims to not be part of the system, and they're still doing it. They're still doing it. The Bill Maher's Bill Maher actually backed off on the Trump derangement, but he's doing the Zionism. I'm an atheist, but it's Zionism. It's like Cornel West. I'm independent, but TDS. So there you go. It is a good one to look at. And the only way we can avoid ourselves from being part of that problem is to when you say you're not part of something, truly be not part of it, truly not be, because I don't want to have to think of a new name. I don't want to have to think of something different and not call myself atheist anymore. Maybe I should take back the agnostic word. I don't know.
Yeah, I hear you. In terms of my spiritual beliefs, I believe in God, I would say, but I don't identify with any one religion. I just consider God to be like consciousness itself, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I think human minds collectively, that's probably, the creator of the universe. And I would say, love is the most powerful force. I would call love God, and I would call human consciousness the creator, if I had to, describe my spirituality. But I just think that, religions have a lot of actually truth written into the books that we do need to look into, but they're all weaponizing elements of truth to trick us, and manipulate us in certain ways. So, especially when you look at ancient history and what's been happening on this world, for different cycles, I do think it is worth reading the religious books. So even though I don't identify with any one religion, I think it's worth reading the books because, there could be some interesting stuff about our past that we can piece together by reading it. So,
I hear you, man. The more knowledge, the better, and we should investigate all of it. And I've been doing that my whole life. I'm very curious about. I'm curious about how people get sign themselves up and dedicate themselves to a particular tribe or church or whatever you call it.
It's just
I am
born. That's literally all it is. Like
Yeah.
I'm half Ashkenazi. My biological mother was raised a Jew, and she's now Catholic. I was adopted, so I was never really raised like around any of that, but I was raised a Christian, and when I got into college and I took a few philosophy classes and I really started thinking about things more, I just didn't really identify with everything in the Bible, even though the Bible has a lot of great things in it, and I still think it has some positive messages. Me personally, I think that it's been manipulated, in a few ways. So.
Yeah, no, we're agreeing on so much here, man. And I'll just end this segment with one more religion and political comparison analogy. I would say the stuff we find in the scripture, the stuff we find in the bylaws, as you would say in politics, are things that we can find in ourselves. The things that we already know to be true. We already know the human rights that should be allotted, that we should be entitled to free speech, and we should be anti-war. Our nature should.
That's why the religions work, because they tap into who we are. So like
we have
nice
to
each other.
So the big reveal, and I say from as an atheist, I say the big reveal is we have all this right here. We don't need a scripture to tell us. It's great to see it there, and I agree with you. We can utilize it just like we can see political party platforms. Those are things I agree with. I will come into the room and be part of it, but I don't need to be in the room to have access to it. I have it right here. It's right in me. I've had it the whole time. And I think that's the aha moment. And it gives us the strength that we can find internally. And then I agree with you. Love is the thing that connects us all. The universe is God. All these things are true. I'm not a nihilist. So you guys know nihilism is completely different than atheism. Atheism is we're open to all these things, but we find it within. And we're not in need of being in a particular room because we can't function without it, or the purge is going to happen. And if you take away my laws, I'm just going to go murder someone. Because
that doesn't usually happen.
It's a bizarre idea that I need laws to stop me from being bad. It's effing bizarre to me, dude. It's effing bizarre to me that people need laws like murder is going to get you locked up the rest of your life, so don't murder anyone. Okay. Because if I didn't see that, I was just about to do that. Now I won't. It's like it's crazy to me. Okay.
Yeah, there does need to be consequences for sure. So
no. I'm all for consequences. I'm just saying if you remove the consequences, there's this idea that you're just naturally going to do horrible things, and you need the fear.
Doesn't work like that.
You need the fear.
Yeah.
Right. They tell us that we need to be the fear of God, the wrath of God, the idea that you're going to burn in eternal damnation. That's the thing that motivates you to be good. I just cannot wrap my head around it. That's all.
You should want to be good because it's the best thing. It does feel better. You're more comfortable with yourself as a person. You have better relationships with the people around you, and you can't really form meaningful connections with other folks that are built on the right things and the right feelings if you're treating everyone like crap. So
Oh wow. Well, hey guys, we'll double down and tell you for Top Censored News, you're not going to get this anywhere else. A deep dive into, I guess, the religious issue that no one on mainstream media is going to cover. So I hope you guys stuck with us on this one. We had Craig Pasta, we have Jay Scott, and this has been Top Censored News
of the week.
Okay, let me take a moment to introduce you to our good friends over at World Harvest Food Bank right here in LA. World Harvest has been serving families across Los Angeles for 18 years now, and they started with this simple idea. Everyone deserves access to healthy, affordable food no matter what they're going through. With their Cart with a Heart program, families can walk away with a full cart of groceries, fresh produce, dairy, meat, and pantry supplies for just a $50 contribution. That's for the entire cart. That same cart would cost over $300 at a typical grocery store. At World Harvest, everyone is welcome. They don't ask for income verification, ID, or any paperwork. No. Basically, their doors are open to anyone who's doing their best, but just needs a little extra push to get by. If you're an Angelino like me, you know the times have been tough here. First with all the union strikes, the LA fires, and now the ICE raids going on. It seems like we're living in a constant state of uncertainty. And that's why it's so important to support local charities like World Harvest, because they aren't just helping the community. They're an essential function in its very survival. World Harvest is located at Venice and Arlington. And right now, you can use our special discount code THL20 for 20% off your contribution amount at checkout. And if you're not in the LA area, you can still help out with a $50 donation, which will provide a full cart of food for a family by going to worldharvestfoodbank.org or scan the QR code for more info. Or you can just spread the word. Follow them online. Let people know they're here for them, because at the end of the day, it's about providing choice, access, and relief without barriers. World Harvest Food Bank. End hunger now.